With all due respect to both you, George, and you, Kathy, I can't tell you how disappointed I am today to hear this report. There is nothing new that you have said, you have put on the record. All of this is just a rehashing of, the commitment that there'll always be a TARP. Well, thank God that a structure and I understand the debate, and the debate isn't new. The debate wasn't new a year ago or 5 years. There's always been a debate. There's a debate we could bring up tonight between the White Plains Historical Society and the North Castle Historical Society about some of the things that you talk about. There's the question about, did Washington sleep there or not? Did he use it as a headquarters or not? Some people say it was the Purdy House. Some people said it was an afternoon when he stopped to get a drink of water and feed his horse. The thing is that we have been working on this for years, and the Board of Legislators, whether or not that particular bond issue covered a move or not, the Board of Legislators has been very willing to come in and provide the authorization for the financing of the work that needs to get done, and then has been very willing to sit down and I'm not talking about a majority, I'm talking about all 17 legislators, not only initiating direction to the administration and to the departments. And then when the administration comes back and says, nah, we're just gonna veto that, we're not gonna bother with it. The all 17 members come into the chamber and then override that veto and make statements like, fix the House. Fix it. I mean, the remnants of the TARP have been taking, you know how many times I have come down Virginia Road and looked at this historic structure. Certainly, it's got historic artifacts in it. There is an established narrative about the family that lived there. We know that it existed prior to the Revolution. We know it was there as the cannons are being fired at British troops. We none of us were there to know exactly what happened. But tradition says that it was part of the scene. It was part of the life of Westchester at the time. We know where the families, we know where they're buried, we know where the books that have been written. But the point is, the representatives of the people of Westchester County have already decided that a county asset is to be fixed. And we've gone through this same thing a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. When I represented North Castle, which was 1998 and 1999, we were talking about this. And nothing gets done. There's no will to do it. I don't want to hear, I've looked at the TARP. Anybody that's familiar with the site, there's a historic building there. It was supposed to be covered. It was supposed to be protected. You know what we have seen for the past year? A tarp hanging by one nail, not neatly folded over the building, but like hanging off so that 90% of the building isn't covered, hanging by a nail. I could have gone up there and ripped down the last remnant of it. This is a disgrace. No one's watching out for this place. And it's not that we're all kind of going to huddle up and decide what the Board of Legislators already decided this is to be fixed. That was a year ago. If I go to my records, I will be able to find that maybe 13, 14 years, it seems to me it was August of last year, when we made the last override of the county executive's refusal to follow the directive of the board. I don't want to get into this thing between us and the ninth floor, but the fact remains, this is a historical piece of property belonging to Westchester County. We have a responsibility to keep it up. We have not done that. We weren't doing it 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. We didn't do it this year. That building needs to be protected. Not probably, it needs to be protected immediately. You have to take the steps to do that. And then you have to decide, you're the administration, you have to decide what is the plan. Don't insult me by coming here and telling us that and then there's the matter of maybe losing the historical designation. We already discussed this. We discussed this 2 years ago. We know there's been conversations with the state. You had conversations with the state. We had conversations with the state. We know they weren't definitive. They were, well, maybe this, maybe that. There's a model right here in town. Sure, they moved the Purdy House from down in the valley up on the hill. There was a question about it losing its historic designation. It didn't lose it. There's been a proposal here. I don't know how the state will view this. It's moving it from one part of the farm to the other part of the farm. Well, if can be a showing that the moving of this building is essential, if that can be shown, then maybe we have a shot. You know what? If they don't keep the historic designation, you know what we end up with? We end up on a site, on the original farm, this historic building, fixed up the way it's supposed to be when you want to, you want to retain a structure, fixed up by the people that know how to do that, with its artifacts back in place, and maybe even the possibility of working with some of the private organizations to figure out how we get somebody there that can open it up to the school kids and the general public. But that's kind of down the road. We can't move forward, as it seems to me, we can't move forward even to protect this building and make sure it stays protected as we sit around and do absolutely nothing when it comes to determining what the real plan will be to either fix it on site and see how we make out being a neighbor of this concrete company across the street, or to move it in whole, chop it in half, whatever that plan was, moving it up. It's so disappointing to hear that the report after the last major event on this a year ago is really a report that says nothing. It puts the same issues on the table. Question I would ask is, you knew about these issues 2 or 3 years ago. What work has been done since? Nothing. You have nothing to report. You haven't made up your mind to do anything. You haven't come back. Is there a bond issue I should be looking at that would, with bond counsel's approval, cover the things that you feel you want to do? There is nothing here that you have presented to us that is new. And I'm really hot about this because I think that, when you go through the county, you don't have to hear about it at this meeting. I can go to the pool in the summertime just up the road, and people that I don't even know will come to me, Mr. Ryan, you and the county, you got to fix Washington's headquarters. That's how it's referred to. You got to fix the place. It doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans. That has nothing to do with it. People out there want it done. The Historical Societies want it resolved. We're not a minor player waiting to see what everybody else does. This Friends of the Miller House, well, they disappeared for a year, so I guess we took the year off. We can't be waiting on them. It is our property, it is our responsibility. If we can get them into the picture with some kind of role where they can be of assistance, fine. Private donation of a roof, well, that's good. That could figure into a plan that reconstructs the place, that shores it up, whether it's this site or a different site. But the guy's going to sit there till the cows come home with his offer to donate a roof if we don't make a decision. And I'm quite frankly, I'm really tired of hearing the same old tired story that there is no progress to report. I don't need a summary of what the site visit was. I know what the site visit is. All of us in this room pass by that road. We know that the site's deplorable. It's a disgrace. I don't know, and I don't bring any files. There's no need for files and old paperwork. People ask me for that. There's no need for the old files. This isn't a discussion about that. This is a discussion about how we have now lost another year. Kathy, if you don't put a tarp on that thing, all of the remaining moisture and storms of the fall and the winter and the snow and the ice, at some time the thing is going to collapse. If this is being viewed up on the 9th floor, I'm talking to you now, maybe that's your intent, but it's not the intent of the Board of Legislators. The Board of Legislators wants this fixed, and we need a plan, and that means that we've got to start talking. And this should have been done. This should have been done a long time ago. And quite honestly, I don't want to get into another situation where we take action down here. We go out on the floor, and you professionally know what needs to be done, and you know what needs to be done because you sat in these seats. And we have people in the administration that that take it upon themselves to say, no, we're just not gonna do it. That's not gonna work. So I'd say it's a bigger disappointment than I thought, because I thought there would be at least some kind of attempt to show that we're going down some constructive road. An identification of issues, after all of this time, that's not acceptable. A summary of a site visit, that's not acceptable. A rehashing of prior conversations 2 and 3 years ago, that's not acceptable. So the update today is there is no update. And by the way, I know there's nothing going on that road, so feel free to drive up there, stop the car, and look at the disgrace, the county's property. Look at the disgrace that just continues to sit there. It not only makes us sick down here on the floor, it makes a lot of people in this county that wanted to see us do the right thing and take care of that building.